everybody. I am so lucky I'm here with Dr. Jennifer Lisa Vest, Vest. Look at those
Yeah.
beautiful white teeth. She's my sister from another mother. Give us a history, girlfriend.
Okay, let's see.
But just
You know,
start after jail. Start after jail.
okay, we'll leave all the bad stuff out. You mean the time that you and I used to run together?
The time we used to, I was just telling her because my tribe, the Comanches, we were known as, bandits. I mean, gosh.
Well, my tribe invented the casinos, so
For real?
yeah.
Oh, my cousin, he used to work for the Apache. In
Uh-huh.
fact, when we were young, we used to go into San Francisco and see a friend. The grandmother was native 100% Apache. And my
Uh-huh.
dad taped her. She told the story about seeing the great white eagle fly into the fire. She's back in the days of living on the reservation. And then later we found out it was that peyote. That peyote will give you a lot of hallucinations. But anyway,
Lot of Yeah, so I don't know what should I say? I'm from Chicago originally. I grew up in Chicago. My tribe is Florida Seminole. And yes, they did pass get the first law passed to um legalize Indian gaming, which turned into Indian casinos, and that's why we have casinos all across the country now. So yeah, I like to brag about that. But
do you get a little check from the profits from the casinos?
I don't because I'm not enrolled.
Oh, I'm enrolled as Comanche and I get a check every November.
I wish because the checks are pretty big for the Seminole.
No, it's not that big for the Comanches.
No, yeah, it's pretty big for the Seminole. Um, and so yeah, I'm not enrolled. I'm Seminole on my father's side. Our, Seminole tribe is matrilineal. And so it's more challenging to get enrolled if you're not Seminole on your mother's side.
No kidding. It's like being Jewish.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I wasn't raised there, but I've spent a lot of time on the reservation and I was invited a couple of times to apply for enrollment. And actually back then I wasn't interested. I don't know, I was young and foolish. And I just thought at the time, well, I don't live here. So I thought that I should live there, right? If I'm gonna try to do that. And so that's my grandmother was Florida Seminole, but I grew up in
Wow.
Chicago. But I've
Did
always
she
been
have
in
an allotment number or your father?
no, because she used to brag to me that the Seminole tribe was never conquered, never signed a treaty, and never lived on a reservation. So the reservation in Florida was created actually after my grandmother left Florida. It wasn't created until the 1930s, and my grandmother left in the 1920s. Um, and so we're from a group of Seminole from northern Florida, which was never a part of a reservation system or on any kind of governmental agreement. And so we were never,
Very hard
uh,
to get yourself documented.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so also we're mixed. And so when you're mixed with Black, it makes it a lot harder
Yeah.
because of the racism.
We are on the Dawes, the original Dawes rule.
Yeah,
But we're mixed with Mexican. My
yeah. So
father was
yeah,
Mexican.
it helps if you're on a roll like that. The Seminole were not on any roll. The Seminole in Florida were never on any roll. And so it's a very different situation. There's a lot
Yeah.
of Seminole who are not on any rolls that are in, kind of dispersed in different places. Um, but there's only one, there's one official Seminole tribe of Florida. And then there's one Seminole tribe in Oklahoma called the Seminole Nation. And those are the two official Seminole nations. Uh, so,
So tell
um,
me about how did you become a doctor? What type of doctor are you?
um, I have a PhD in ethnic studies and philosophy, and so I did my dissertation on indigenous philosophies, and I specialized in Native American and African because that's
Oh,
that's my
beautiful.
heritage.
Beautiful.
Um, yeah, and so I grew up being trained in a lot of healing traditions from both African American and Native American traditions, Afro Caribbean. And that was kind of, my separate life, my psychic healing life. And then I had this intellectual life, and I kind of tried to keep them separate. Um, but that was part of what motivated me to want to study what I did, because I studied philosophy as an undergrad and it was just all dead white men. But I knew from my own experience with medicine that there was more.
Right.
And so I set out to, how can we combine this? And so I actually wrote a book that came out this year on Native American philosophy, where I propose a way to create an academic field of Native American philosophy that's actually based on, Native people's words and, what people actually say. And so
And what's the name of the book? Is it on your YouTube site?
it's on my link tree. Is it on my YouTube? Hopefully, I'll double check. But
Just
it
give me
should
the
be.
title of the book.
It's called Sovereign Wisdom, um, Generating Native American Philosophy from Indigenous Cultures.
I might get Joy a copy of that too. You know what?
Okay.
While I was writing this down, my whole hand turned a weird color blue,
Oh, wow.
and then it disappeared.
Huh.
And there's no shadows here.
Well,
That was weird.
I think it is a healing book. That's how
Yeah.
I would interpret that color. Is it's a healing book. It's meant to be a healing book. Um, you know,
How did
I was
you
a
get
labor.
involved in psychic stuff? Where did you first know?
I was born with all my gifts, and I can't really remember a time when I didn't have them. As a baby, I remember my birth. I remember being born and all the spirits in the hospital. I remember just spirit teachers coming to get me every night as a child and taking me to school and taking me to the future and the past. And then I was just aware of spirits. I was a natural empath, which was really problematic. I was out of control clairsentient. That's what I call it, where you can tap into other people and it's overwhelming. I found being in hospitals to be just really too much because of all the spirits and then all the sick people. And I just had a lot of gifts. My mother had the gift. That whole line on my mother's
Yeah.
side all had the gift. And then my great grandmother on my other side of the family, um, who was also Native but not Seminole, that side of the family also had the gift. And so she picked me out when I was 2 and said, you're the one of that generation. I was the one that had the gift of among the kids my generation. And so she started training me, and my mother also started training me. My mother did tarot cards and like astrology, but she never did it seriously. She just like she never charged. She just did it for friends and family. And so I had the gift, and then I kept kind of getting trained by people, but I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't wanting to, because I was trying to live this other life as an intellectual. I was getting all these degrees and I was like, oh, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to keep that quiet. But then teachers just kept showing up. You know how it is. So like I went to the Caribbean, I went to Trinidad for this ceremony that I thought I was going to study like as a student. I was a history student at the time. And I was like, oh, I'm going to write my thesis on the history of women healers in, these traditions. But then as soon as I get there, right, all of the healer women just grabbed me and they were like, oh, you're one of us. We're going to train you. And I'm like, no, no, no. I was trying to pretend I wasn't. They're like, no, no, we know who you are. And so they just started giving me these intensive trainings and, mediums and spiritual healers. And then when that happened in Jamaica too, I went to Jamaica. I had a job in Jamaica working for a professor. And but then everybody there, all of the women healers were like, again, oh, you're one of us. We're going to train you. And they would take me to all these ceremonies and they would give me lessons. And so I got all this training that way. And then when I was older again, I was going to a sweat. And I've always been involved in the Native community my whole life. And I was going to a sweat, and it was through this organization I was involved with, a Two Spirit organization. I'm a Two Spirit as well. And I went to a sweat because I had a dream. And my in the dream, the clan mothers came to me and said, you have to do 4 sweats because I was sick at the time. They said, this will heal you. And so I said, oh, okay. And then I got invited to a sweat that same week, of course.
Of
And I went
course.
to this, of course, it just worked out, right? I wasn't even looking for one. It just, oh. And so I go to the sweat and I think I'm just going there to sweat. And immediately the fire keeper pulls me aside and says, you're a fire keeper. I'm going to train you. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm only here because my grandmothers told me to come and I have to listen to the dream. I don't know if I don't know if I have permission to do this. And she's like, oh, you have to go talk to the sweat lodge leader. And so I took her some tobacco and I told her my dream. And I said, I don't know what to do. And then she told me a story. You know how they do, right?
Yeah.
She said, oh, I once knew a man and he was given guidance to sweat, but he was also given guidance to be a fire keeper. And so he used to keep the fire. And then every round after he brought the rocks in, he would come in and sweat. And then he would leave and go get the rocks. And he did that every round. And she said, it's really strenuous work, but it's possible.
Okay.
And I was
Okay.
thinking, oh my God, I'm already sick. I'm already wondering because I had a heart condition. I was already thinking, is it going to be hard for me to even be in the sweat because I don't feel good? And now they want me to do
Yeah.
the rock.
Now listen, for those of you guys that don't know about sweats, go ahead. I know my cousin Toby and my other cousins, they do sweats. Usually it's male. I don't hear about the females doing it.
Oh no,
At
they
least
have
with the
male.
tribe, at least with my tribe.
They have female sweats and male sweats, and then some people do them mixed. I don't like them mixed, but unless it's a two-spirit sweat, then it's okay if it's mixed. But so yeah, so then I ended up getting trained by a fire keeper to be a fire keeper.
But they put you in like a teepee or something, right? And they get it nice and hot.
Yeah. It's like dug into the ground like a womb. And then you have this round kind of teepee and made of blankets. And you heat it up. Yeah, you heat up the rocks all day till a special kind of rock, and that heats up real hot. And then you put them inside and create a lot of steam with water and herbs, and it gets real hot in there. Yeah, so yeah, that's how I became a firekeeper. Again, wasn't my plan, wasn't my intention, but a teacher picked me out. And so that was kind of how my life was going. And I was leading my life, as an intellectual and kind of doing this stuff on the side, like trying to keep it quiet.
Right.
And
right.
only my friends really knew. My friends and anyone who knew me well, there was no way I could hide who I was because, I would know things I shouldn't know. And I was always having spirits showing up in my house. In fact, it was really not good for dating because, they would show up in the middle of the night. I also used to channel in the middle of the night, like with these men's voices in different languages. And that was embarrassing.
That was scary.
Yeah, that would freak people out. I used to, as a kid, I couldn't go to slumber parties because I didn't know when it was going to happen. And it would freak grownups out, not just kids. So like I tried to not sleep around people.
Right.
And that was because I didn't have control of it when I was young, right? I was a natural channel and I didn't know how to control it. Of course, what I ended up doing at a certain point, I finally got serious and I got really sick. I went to a medical intuitive. The medical intuitive said, you're not going to get better unless you embrace your gift. She said, you have a love-hate relationship with them. You keep getting training and then trying to pretend you're not this way. And then, go back and forth. And she said, you have to get serious about it and fully embrace it, and then you'll get better. And I was willing to do absolutely anything to get better. So, that's how spirit worked on me, right? Oh, we got a way. We got a way to get her to do
right.
Get on the path.
So you're probably real sensitive to drugs or alcohol or anything like that.
Yeah, I can't do anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need to.
You can be high as a kite.
I go out of my body a lot. So that's how I get my information these days is I go out of my body and I meet with my guides in other realms and then I bring the information back. And that's the main way I work.
But are you feeling the displacement that's happening now in the universe, all this?
Yeah, it's been really bad. Like, especially after the 20th, the astral realm was just so chaotic, just so much despair. so much pandemonium on the astral plane. Like everybody at night when they're sleeping, they go up there, right? You know, the Seminole, we believe that whenever you sleep, you leave your body. And we call that, you know, the Indians call it the South Asian Indians call it the astral realm, right? And so now we all use that terminology. But that plane above the physical plane where people go when they're sleeping, it was just crazy the last like 10 days
Yeah.
because people are so upset and so scared. It's been really chaotic up there. Yeah.
So what are they doing? They just visit there, or what do they do?
Well, you know, in the lowest planes, like the lowest astral planes, people will go there and they'll sometimes go there to kind of work out their anxiety or their issues during the day. And so in that realm, you can like problem solve or, you know, try to go through scenarios to help you deal with what you're going through in your life. And so because everybody is so distressed, people are all going there and just kind of having nightmares and, you know, kind of scary scenarios of what's going to happen to them. Whereas normally on that realm, you would have people having nightmares, but also fantasies, right?
Right.
Like their favorite things too. They'd be fantasizing about, you know, who they want to marry or their house they want to buy, right? It would be that plus people's fears. But now, it not now, but like for the past week, it's been really much more just a lot of nightmares.
I feel
Yeah.
sorry for all those people working for the Department of Justice and the FBI. Told
Yeah.
to quit or be fired. And I say,
Yeah.
all anybody that'll listen to me energetically, my guides have told me it's this too shall pass, by the way. There's going to be so many lawsuits. I saw a vision of people in line. I just talked about it on my show. And I was walking down a courthouse and it was all kinds of people just standing in line. And all of them were filing lawsuits.
Mm.
And I was like, the power, the power. But
Yes,
it's so unconstitutional what he's doing.
it
Even
is.
Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Roberts, and Rehnquist, when he was Supreme Court, all said that this type of thing is unconstitutional for a president to think that he can take away the power of the purse from the Congress.
Yeah,
So
and it's scary that he's doing so many unconstitutional things and that people aren't there's not enough of a pushback from the government itself. Like the Congress should be
especially
pushing
from the
back.
Republicans, they're sitting there not saying anything.
Yeah. And I don't know how they don't realize it's not going to work out for them. You know, because one of the things that my guide told me a long time ago was that the reason we had hope, the reason we should have hope that things are going to turn around is because there are a number of parties of people who think that their interests are aligned with Trump, but they're going to realize that they aren't.
Yes.
And when that happens, the number of people and powerful people who are aligned against him will be massive. And those Republicans who are supporting him, they are all going to lose all of their power if they stay with him.
Yes.
They're going to lose everything.
When the new term comes up for the midterms, crystal blue, my friend. But I saw bigwigs. I didn't know who they were. They weren't Musk. Bigwigs in corporations, maybe even with the stock market, saying, "What the hell are you doing?"
Oh yeah, well, a lot of capitalists. That's what I also saw too. Is lots of millionaires and billionaires are going to realize that their interests are not aligned with his because dictatorship and capitalism they don't go well together.
No, it's beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
when she lost, I was so upset. But when she lost, and I told my guides, "How could you?" Because I kept seeing her winning. I think she did win actually, but you know, it was.
Yeah, she did.
But they said to me, man has free will. Okay. And then they said, what needs to happen is his people need to see who he really is. Not us.
Yeah.
We know who he really is.
His
people. And a lot of his people are coming forward, especially when he did that scary thing about Medicaid and all that. People were flipping out. And now, you know, there's a lot of people who loved him that would be part of the. He's even talking about getting rid of the clerks that typed the paperwork for January 6th, even though it was just a job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're gonna recognize it because even before the midterms, um, a lot of people are gonna lose power. So even the people who currently have jobs as senators and Congress people, you know, if you're not in a democracy, you don't have any power as a senator, you know, and they just don't seem to have recognized that yet. That once they let him take over everything, their jobs will become meaningless.
Yes. So how
They
do you
won't.
mean they're not going to have a job? Well, see, he can't get rid of them. They were
What
voted
I
by
mean
the
is,
people.
if we're no longer following the Constitution and we're no longer a democracy, and he's a monarch essentially, then their jobs won't mean anything. Like
Yes,
if not, if the laws don't mean anything, like they're supposed to be in control of the purse, right? And he's making decisions that are not in his wheelhouse, right? Those are congressional duties, just allocating funds. He can't.
yeah,
He's not supposed to have anything to do with allocation of funds.
none.
If they let him start doing their job, they won't have a job.
Right. And also their constituents will say, what the hell are you doing? There might
Yeah,
be people who gather up enough signatures to impeach that person, you know.
yeah, exactly.
Now, can I ask you, I didn't get a chance to look. Have you done any look at the Musk?
Well, I've been talking about him from November, and so I'm glad that a lot of people are talking about him now because what I saw from early November was that he was the prime mover behind everything, him and Putin,
That's
and
what
that
I was feeling. Yeah.
Trump's just a puppet. He's just a puppet, and they have their own agenda. And that's what these other people don't seem to realize that with him as the prime mover, he has no interest in democracy. He has no interest in party politics. He doesn't care about any of that. He just cares about his own world domination agenda and his own money. And so it's not really in alignment with what these other powerful people want.
Right.
And so I'm glad to see that so many other countries are coming out and publicly speaking about how he has interfered in their elections as well. Because it is a world agenda. His agenda is not our country; it's a world agenda.
His outcome is
Um,
not very good. I'm not quite sure exactly what happens, but it's not good.
yeah. Oh, is that what you're asking? What his outcome
Yeah,
is?
well, no, do you see that too? I mean, I see that his outcome isn't very good. He's going to go
I
into hiding.
I agree. I saw him as being stripped of everything and going into exile.
Now, what about them trying to get the keys to the treasury? What the hell was that about?
They're going to try for everything because that's what they've always been about from the beginning is world domination. So they're going to try for everything, and the question is, who's going to stop them? You know, is
No, Trump's not
anyone?
going to stop him at all.
Oh, absolutely not. Trump has no power. He's underneath him. He's underneath. He's underneath Musk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Musk threw a fit because his rocket exploded up in the air and the sky, and the FAA guy had to get all kinds of planes and stuff out of the way with debris while he was going, oh, it was a pretty crash. And it's like he had to move all these planes and FedEx planes and
Mm-mm.
stuff. So he was furious at him and he fined them $600,000. And he told him, you need to shut down any more rockets going up in the air till you
Uh-huh.
tell us why this happened. And then what does he do? He gets rid of him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that
What?
FAA guy being gone isn't the reason for that crash that happened, by the way. That was
Yeah. I don't think so either. What do you think it was?
it was an accident.
Oh, you think it was an accident?
Yeah, that's what I was told. You may have been told something different, but
The helicopter on the plane, that one?
yeah, I think the plane thought they were looking at the wrong, they had eyes and they told them, yes, we see the plane. They said, you have eyes on the plane. They said, yes, we do. They were looking at the wrong plane.
Mm-hmm.
What did you feel?
I felt like it was intentional, although I didn't get anything more about it. I didn't get why, but I felt that
Yeah.
there was something intentional about it, that somebody did something to make it happen. But that's all I got.
Oh, that's a shame if that happened.
Yeah. I didn't really tune into it much. That's just what I, just got immediately.
So do you
Um,
see some hope in the world? Do you see something
I
that we can
do.
be gleeful about?
I do. What I was told is that the people are rising up because of this, and the people are going to create a new government that's more equitable and just. And I don't know the exact mechanism of that, but I was told that the next 2 to 3 months we were going to see a big change and a
That's what I
rollback.
was feeling too, and you would be, because people are saying, oh, he's gonna last the whole 4 years, and I've always felt some huge things taking place.
Yeah, and the people are, and so it's, I don't know, it's kind of unfortunate. So I kept being told that we had to, as people, we had to evolve, right? Our consciousness had to
Yes,
evolve, and that's why we were going through this. And I was just hoping that we would evolve enough by the 20th, but no, we hadn't. We have more work to do, and so we have to still go through some things, and we still have to. It's not just us, though; it's the world.
yeah,
Like women, not women, people all over the world, but yeah, women especially, are rising up and are kind of having an evolution of consciousness. And this is what needs to happen. And this is also why this is happening,
yeah,
you know, so that we can evolve. It's very hard to watch because so many people are suffering and so many more people are at risk of suffering. We're all at risk, really.
yeah.
And but it is going to bring unification. That's what I'm seeing, that it's going to bring people together and we're going to start coming together outside of party. It's not going to be about blue and red anymore. It's going to
Right.
be purple.
And a lot of the people, his people are the ones that are gonna get hurt the most from this. The people who
Oh,
thought he was all that.
oh yeah, because the red states rely a lot more on federal programs than the blue
Yes,
states. And so
yeah,
they are gonna be harmed a lot more, which is very sad. Um, but it's going to bring us together, I
good.
think, as a country. We're going to be more unified, and we're going to start to take care of each other more and be more in community as a result of this, neighbor to neighbor.
Yeah. Now, listen, I did get um another hit. I was feeling because of this FBI thing, he's creating such chaos and disorganization. It's not something you can just do this and you hire an FBI agent. It takes a lot of work, just like air controllers. They have to go through a lot of training. You can't just get rid
Mhm.
of a bunch of people and say, oh, so now let's just hire people that love Trump, red hats or whatever. And I felt he caused a disruption in intel. And I see other countries that would not, then the man in the moon, give us any information that we should or would have needed as a nation. I see them cutting us off. And I see an opening for someone, maybe Iran or something, getting rid of Trump
Mm,
or attempting
interesting.
to get rid of him. But
Yeah.
I see such a break in the fabric of the intel that he's going to really regret this, what he's done, because he's not safe.
Mhm.
That's what I got. That was a hit I got.
Well, I have been seeing him for a while. I saw an image of him in surgery with a bunch of doctors um, on the brink. And then I also saw his funeral. I don't have a timeline for those, but I saw them both. So I don't feel like he's long for this world. So
You
what
know,
you're saying,
when he first won, before I even had a show, I had the most vivid dream, and I tell everybody about it. And we all thought any day now. Well, this was back in 2017 or 2018. But I was in a big shopping mall, and there was a coffin, a glass coffin, and he was in it. And the lights
mm,
were down on him like Stalin. And I went up to the coffin and I looked in and it was him with the red tie.
Mm-hmm.
Looked close, he even had that kind of waxy look like Stalin had.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I'll be doggone, he's gone. But it was
Ye-
interesting. There was no lines to see him. People were walking around, but nobody was interested in him.
Yeah, I saw him laying in state in the rotunda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's Abraham Lincoln had a dream about himself being in the rotunda.
Oh, really?
Yeah, before he died, he had a dream that he saw people crying and wailing, and he went down the rotunda and he asked the gentleman, what has happened? And he said, the president has died. And when he looked, he could see his body in
Mm.
state. And then he was killed after that.
Well, you know, Lincoln worked with a psychic.
Well, his wife was the one that really loved it, right?
Yeah, yeah, his wife. Yeah.
But so did Nancy Reagan, right? She liked astrologers.
Yeah. Yeah. I suspect a lot of them probably have their secret psychics.
Well, my
They
friend,
need us.
yes, I think we've been talking long enough. I'm going to send a copy of this to you, and
Okay.
let's get together again soon. It was
Okay.
wonderful meeting you.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you.
I'd stay longer and just chit chat, but I got some crab calling my name. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you got to get that crab.
That's my dissertation. It's about crabs.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Okay, you guys, thank you so much, and I'll put her Jennifer Lisa Vest at YouTube. So I'll put it below. What I'll do is I'll grab your link and put it below. And I'm
Okay.
going to order that book,
Okay.
Sovereign Wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't planning to talk about that. I mean, I have another book called Ethical Psychic, which is more relevant, but
Okay,
to psychic stuff. But yeah, thanks.
sure. Now let me know if you want me to be on your show, or
Oh, I do. I definitely want you to be on my show, and we can
let's
do
schedule it up.
Yeah, let's schedule it. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I know you're at your sister's now and you guys got things to do, but contact me when you get back and we'll schedule it up.
Okay, I will. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Bye, you guys.